Hey everyone, I'm Allie. I'm from Indiana, and you're watching the Base to Pickle podcast.
Welcome to the Base to Pickle Show, everyone. I'm Uncle Muggs coming to you from the Miami studios. My co-host Raul DeCastro is in Weston, Florida, and we have some really interesting interviews set up for you today.
We sure do. We've got Ashley Owens from Court Reserve. That's one of the applications we all use to book our courts when we want to go play. And she's got a fantastic place. It's called Old Coast Pickleball in St. Augustine. And if you're in the area, you've got to stop by and check it out.
We also spoke to a professional pickleball agent. His name is Sam Flaxman, and he represents some of the top names in pickleball like Jesse Irvin and Tyson McGuffin. And he's going to tell us about the challenges of being a pickleball sports agent.
What about Jacob Smith from Duper, Muggs?
The future of pickleball is in his hands because he runs the Duper Collegiate Pickleball Tournament around the United States, and he's going to give us some dates and some information on some upcoming events on the future of pickleball at the college level. We'll have those interviews and a whole lot more right here on the Base to Pickle Show.
I don't feel good today. Time to go see the doctor. Nurse, I don't feel good. What can you give me?
Looks like you're going through pickleball withdrawal. Okay, I'm going to prescribe for you to watch the Base to Pickle Show.
Welcome to the Base to Pickle Show. I'm Uncle Muggs coming to you from the Miami studios today with a really interesting guest. She is the co-founder of a pickleball and tennis club management software. She has a wealth of knowledge in the pickleball space and just recently opened her very own pickleball club in St. Augustine, Florida called Old Coast Pickleball. Welcome, Ashley Owens, to the Base to Pickle Show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
All right, Ashley. Thanks for being on the show. I know all of our viewers want to know about Court Reserve, and I think we may already know a lot about Court Reserve, but we want to know more how it can benefit some of the newer club owners that are popping up all over South Florida. But before we get into that, I know no one has been born into the pickleball business. So how did this bite you? Where was your background and how you got into the pickleball world?
Okay, so Tim and I were avid tennis players, the other yellow ball sport. And you can see Dexter, our mascot, here behind me. He loves talking about pickleball. So we lived right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, and we were avid tennis players. We belonged to a tennis club, and we were coaches of a team. We coached our kids. We coached school. And so we really got tired as players driving to our tennis facility that had zero technology. We had to show up, put our name on the whiteboard, wait for a court. You never could figure out when classes were, when anything. So that's the basis of how Court Reserve got started. We as entrepreneurs knew that in my sales and marketing background, and Tim was a developer, that we could probably develop something to help our own club. And so when we started doing this, we worked 2 jobs for 3 years, both of us, of course, and developed the beginnings of Court Reserve. And when COVID hit, right before that, we started getting interest from these pickleball clubs. What is pickleball? So we actually went down to Port St. Lucie and was at the World Pickleball Open or World Pickleball Championships.
Right, yeah.
And, as tennis players, when we would travel to tournaments, there would be like 100 players. And it's so quiet and, it's very serious, right? Excuse me. These pickleball players at this conference or at this tournament, they were everywhere. There was probably 1,000 of them, and they were having so much fun. So that night, we left the first day, went back to the hotel. They had wooden pickleball paddles for us to basically try out. And so we started, and before I went home, Amazon had brought me a Selkirk paddle, and that's how we started playing pickleball.
That's amazing. That's a great story. So let's fast forward. Now, Court Reserve is used by a lot of players to reserve their courts. They're also used by parks and recs. And I think that our viewership, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that our viewership knows about Court Reserve, and we know how to use the app. I have it on my phone. Raul has it on his. Now, how does Court Reserve, how can it benefit the club owner? There's a lot of new clubs popping up here in South Florida, and how can that tie into what the club is trying to do?
Sure. So, a great technology helps do a couple of things, and it depends on who you're talking about. For the facility itself, it helps run that facility, gives them data to make decisions on programming, helps them to show what's available. Just because you have courts doesn't mean that your players know what kind of classes or programming, or if I'm a new pickleball player, how do I know where to go, what time to show up, and a progression of classes. So Court Reserve actually helps the front desk, the facility, to really put the visibility out there so players can know what to do, when to sign up, how they can keep coming to the club, spending more money at the club. Excuse me, these allergies here in St. Augustine are getting me. Court Reserve also, from an admin perspective, helps keep up with your instructors. How many hours did your instructors teach, right? Payroll. Data and analytics. How busy are your courts? How many people did you have waitlisted for particular classes? What classes are working, right? Making it easy for your instructors to be able to get people to sign up for lessons. So there is a myriad of things that from a facility, front desk, admin standpoint that Court Reserve helps. And then from the player standpoint, it's all about what the club does. Court Reserve is so customizable that it really does take that club, spending some time in the beginning, getting that data correct, making sure the players that can do what they want them to do. And then it's easy for the players to be able to show up, sign up, pay, and everything on their mobile device.
Well, that's amazing. I didn't know how much information and all these tools that the owners can use. I didn't know about the payroll. I'm going to quote Johnny Carson and say, I did not know that, Ed. Did not know that one. But great information. Let's switch gears a little bit because I think it's every pickleballer's dream, I think, to own a pickleball club. And how did that bug bite you and you were able to open up those two courts? I think it's called Old Coast Pickleball. Is that correct?
It is. So St. Augustine is the oldest city in the nation. And so Tim and I, we love this brewery down the street. And we would go on Fun Fridays, we would call it, Friday afternoon. And it's always kind of been our dream to have our own facility. And so we were sitting around at Old Coast Brewery one day and we were like, okay, what are we going to name this place? And so Old Coast Ales was the place we were at. So we just named it Old Coast Pickleball. And so we do have a 2-court indoor air-conditioned facility right here in St. Augustine. And there's twofold, really. It's fun to have your own facility and, for your friends and the community and tourists build here. But the other reason is because we as Court Reserve had never been on that other side of the table. So for the last 8 years, because Court Reserve will be 8 in August, we have listen to all of our clubs and facilities. Hey, what do you need in our software to run your business? And they've told us, and that's how we built Court Reserve. But now as the owners of a club, as that front desk manager, as that person who's looking at all the data, well, now we also see some things from our own perspective, from that club management side, that we can use to build additional features within our own software. So we're super excited. We've gained so much valuable information. Our players are great because they'll come up to us and say, hey, I love Court Reserve, but could it do this? Or can I see this? Even from a player aspect. So good things coming definitely on both sides just because of our own club. And we're really excited. We're having a lot of fun right now.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you get to see things from a different perspective now being a club owner, and you can better your software to help those future owners. Okay, that's great. That's great that you got to see things from the other side. All right, so now here comes the fun part of the show. We call it the speed up. We ask you 5 questions that have absolutely nothing to do with pickleball in a way for our viewers to get to know Ashley Owens a little bit better. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Is Ashley Owens a Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, or a Nespresso person?
A combo of Starbucks and espresso because I just went to Italy and their coffee was amazing.
All right. Okay, tell us what your favorite all-time movie is.
Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, that was a quick answer. You had that one ready, didn't you? All right. Are you a dog person or a cat person?
Dogs all day.
All right. And what is your favorite Florida vacation destination?
Anna Maria Island on the West Coast.
Oh, good one. Okay, last question. What is your favorite social media outlet? Is it YouTube, Facebook, Instagram?
I love Instagram because I can go live and shut it down when I have nothing else to say.
All right. Thank you for being such a great sport, Ashley. That was fun. We got to know you a little bit better. Wow, Shawshank Redemption. Great movie.
It's an all-time classic.
That was a good one. Well, thank you again. I want to thank you on behalf of my host as well, Raul de Castro, for taking your time from your busy schedule to be on the Base to Pickle Show and share all that great information with us. And I hope that we can make it up to San Augustine soon. But wait, we have some more late breaking news that I forgot to ask you. What's upcoming? I heard you have some other clubs that might be opening in Florida.
Yeah, so 4 miles away, still in St. Augustine, we're opening up a 12-court indoor air-conditioned facility for pickleball, stadium courts all around, and 2 golf simulators. And that's coming early 2025.
Ooh, I like that golf and pickleball combination. That's awesome. That's awesome. So once again, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Anytime that you have any events or happenings going on at the Old Coast Pickleball Club, make sure to reach out to Raul and I here on the Base to Pickle Show. We'll give you some time and help promote the Old Coast Pickleball Club. So once
Thank you
again,
so
Ashley,
much.
thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. See you soon.
Awesome. Awesome.
It's Bruno from Rugby. You're watching Base to Pickleball with Raul, Uncle Mark.
Welcome to the Base to Pickle Show, everyone. I'm Uncle Muggs coming to you from the Miami studios today, where we have a very interesting guest. He's a strategic pickleball advisor. You can call him the Jerry Maguire of pickleball. He's with Top Notch Management. It's Mr. Sam Flaxman. Sam, welcome to the Base to Pickle Show.
Thanks for having me, Muggs. Really excited to be on here.
Awesome. All right, so you're a sports agent, specifically like a racket sports agent, right?
More so in pickleball. That's my specialty. I don't really touch any other racket or paddle sports. I've been fortunate enough to be in this sport for the last 3.5 years, and excited for where it's going to go. It's crazy how fast where we've come from and where we're going.
All right, so some of the clients that you represent, like Tyson McGuffin, Zane Navratali, Jesse Irvine. I mean, we could sit here all day and talk about them. And
Zane Navratil and Jesse Irvine.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, we can have a show just about on people you represent. But tell us how you got started in Top Notch Management, or how you got involved with them. And then I'll ask you about the elephant in the room, which is the PWR, the World Series in Dubai.
Yeah. So I got started with Top Notch Management. I joined in July of 2023 after my time at the PPA Tour. And I really wanted to come on board to provide value to our clients and grow the game of pickleball, not only here in North America, but on the global stage, because that's really where the sport's going. We expect China to be the number 1 market, India to be the number 2 market, the US to be the number 3 market, the GCC to be the number 4 market, and then Australia and Canada and so on. So really, my goal was to provide value to our clients, not only from a talent management perspective and marketing, but also brand and sponsorship deals to them so they could obviously provide a better life for themselves. And then finding, where is going to be the unique opportunities for them to really set themselves apart from the rest of the professional athletes.
Right. You have some tremendous partnerships. I mean, I'm looking at this list. Yola, Engage, Wilson Jones's paddle deal with, I think, CBRN, is it? I mean, you can probably go on. Anybody else you want to mention on there?
Yeah, Chris Hayworth with Babolat, Andre Dasky with Proton. We've been fortunate enough. We're probably the only firm with a deal with every paddle manufacturer in the space right now. So we have great partners that we work with. We built that trust and relationship, over the years, and really we continue to look and push sport in the positive direction. All
right, are you ready? Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Probably the biggest news to come out of our pickleball world. The PWR World Series took place in Dubai with Mr. Pranav Kohli, the co-founder, and Vineet Jain of the Times Group, some incredible organizations. And you were there with Megan Fudge, Ryler DeHart, Tito Machado, and you were in Dubai. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, we also brought our clients Mitch Hargreaves and Amelia Schmidt, who are the number 1 male and female, respectively, in Australia. They play on the MLP Australia and PPA Australia tour right now. But this idea kind of came out. Really, it's all Pranav. It's incredible to see the work ethic that he has. I thought I had a super high work ethic, but man, this guy is a machine. He does not stop. And Pranav's goal was to bring the world tour to life. And so PWR and PWS kind of came about, early in 2024. And, we had been working together on some other projects. And I was like, where do you want to take this? And he's like, I want to bring this to the GCC. And the GCC is made up of the Gulf Coast countries there, including United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. And so those two countries are really vying to push sport amongst their people, and pickleball just happens to be one of them. And so we actually went out to Dubai. My first trip ever to Dubai was in May. It was myself, Pranav, Aman, Yui, and Tanish, all my very close friends. And, when you have a set of dreams, you try to make those dreams come true. And we were able to put together some great partners, bring in the right people, and put on the first exhibition ever in the GCC. And the fact that it came together so quick in 2 months was just mind blowing. So hats off to their team and our other partners that we were able to bring in. And it was a spectacle. It was amazing. If you've never been to Dubai, you definitely have to check it out because it's a great city.
I've heard. So it's eye catching when you see the numbers, the money numbers. As a player, a rec player, you see, wow, $9 million in a total purse, 1.5 million for the first event. They're also inaugurating an Indian tour. But when you see the likes of like Andre Agassi stepping into this, how does that make you feel? Where do you think it's going when you have superstars like that entering the picture?
Well, it's great, especially, a legend in the tennis space. Andre Agassi was one of my heroes growing up. I was a former Division I tennis player, nowhere near his level or any of the athletes that I work with. But just to be surrounded by these names and get to work with them in day to day it's a dream. So I pinch myself every day, and I'm fortunate enough to be in this industry. But Andre has a great partnership, and he's an investor in Duper. So, for PWR to have a partnership with Duper already just sets the tone for bringing in the right group and people to really build this professional tour out so it can be a success, not only for North American athletes, but for the aspiring, talent coming from Asia, Australia, Africa, Europe, and South America. Really gives a home to a lot of athletes who have been looking for that opportunity to play on a professional tour. And now they can build a life around it. So, to see this kind of money come in and to see these celebrities and these investors and athletes, it's really exciting times. So it's only going up from here.
It sure is. I mean, right here on the Base to Pickle Show, we're experiencing just that. I've talked to a highly ranked player in India. We speak to a group in Medellin, Colombia, and Puerto Rico, and Dublin, Ireland, the UK. We've talked to the pickleball community almost all over the world, but we're a Florida-based show, but you can't help to notice that it's growing worldwide. People are talking about Olympic sport. I know we're a little bit far away from that.
Hopefully soon enough.
But yeah, let's switch gears a little bit, because I heard you were on Richard Branson's island, the owner of Virgin.
I wasn't personally. We brought our athletes. We had John May Martinez Vic there. We had Tyson McGuffin and Jesse Herman there. So I wish I could have gone. Casey's a good friend of mine. She put on the event, and we were happy to bring in the right people to make the event a super success.
I saw they had a pickleball court there.
They had multiple pickleball courts. We had some of our clients playing with Richard day in, day out. I had a couple other good friends. Caitlin Kerr went down there. Pranav was down there. And so it was just overall, I think, a great experience for not only Richard Branson and his group, but for the athletes. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that they get to be on the same court as someone as distinguished as Richard Branson. So, and experience his lifestyle down there. So, huge my hats off to that group for putting on the event, and looking forward to it because I know they're going to continue to do more there.
All right, so let's switch gears once again. Let's pop the clutch. I originally wanted to talk to you about the paddle. I don't want to say controversy, but it kind of is. And can I briefly get your take on the technology and where you think the whole paddle thing is going?
Yeah, I mean, right now we've seen ebbs and flows in the market, whether it's been too much grit, whether it's been your paddle can delaminate too quick, which creates exit velocity speed to be absorbently high off the paddle. Because professional pickleball is so new, I think to try to tame it all right now, we've only seen the points become more electric. The athletes are becoming better athletes. And I think the point quality is only getting better. So I think we're still ways away from really figuring out what is going to be the guidelines for professional pickleball. Now, from an amateur perspective, I know in golf, like if you go to Top Golf, you know, they have juice clubs. Who doesn't love smacking the ball as far as possible? And maybe in amateur pickleball, people want to hit the ball as hard as the pros. I know that's not the case for everybody, and I think there's plenty of argument to be made that it would kill the game because you lose less rallies and points end a lot quicker, which is what we don't necessarily want. But who's to say that's the, you know, right way to play pickleball? I think we're still trying to figure out to what level pickleball is going to be. And you know, I think from the professional side, it's too soon to set proper guidelines that will be long lasting. Where you watch the MLB, you watch other sports, they're modifying their game all the time. They've changed their equipment and they've, you know, changed the standards in equipment throughout the years. So I think it's good to start somewhere, but I don't think it's going to be where professional pickleball ends up at the end of the day.
Yeah, you know, to your point, you know, the golf, the PGA has been talking about dialing back the ball a little bit just because, you know, the athletes are getting so much better and stronger, and they're just outgrowing some of the courses that have been out there for 60, 80, 100 years.
Yeah, no, I think to an extent, like golf's a good example. Like we've also changed the ball. We, you know, we used to play with an Onyx Dur, and now we're playing with a Vulcan ball, which is a little bit heavier. And, you know, I think the feedback from some of the pros, it warps a little too quickly and the points end not as they would like them to end in certain cases. But, you know, Vulcan's learning throughout this process too. It's a great partner of ours, and we've, you know, I have a great relationship with them. And I think at the end of the day, they're trying to figure out, you know, how is this ball going to improve over time? So it's a learning process for everybody. And it's only going to go up from here. So I just, I always, you know, breathe patience. Like that's the most important thing. Be patient. We're going to figure this out.
You know, as a fan, and, you know, we're all fans first, and then, you know, we get into the business. I like to see long rallies. You know, I like to see hard shots, and we all like the power and the long ball and the home run and the 300-yard drive. But what brings our attention to the game is the rallies. I mean, I think that's the best part, you know, the duels at the net, don't you think?
Yeah, I think the firefights are amazing. I mean, that's what people fell in love with MLP, you know, early on was, you know, they played with a Frankenball, which can become a little bit softer early on. And that's what enabled some of those firefights because the ball starts to slow down. I still think, you know, to the extent the long rallies are great, whether it's dinking versus a firefight. I think more people would like to see firefights more so than a long dinking rally. I think the longest dink rally we had was 109 rally shots, and it was Kyle Kazuda and Craig Johnson versus Ben Johns and Colin Johns at PPA Daytona in 2023. And that was nearly 2 minutes of dinking, which I don't think that's great for TV necessarily. So, you know, there's always been conversation of a shot clock. There's been conversation of how a point or how a speed up should start, you know, the firefight in the match. I know those conversations have been had and they're going to continue to be had. So I do love the firefights. I think that's the most engaging part of pickleball. But I think once people play the sport more, they'll realize the tactical and also the overall game and why you need to dink. Because I love the dink, and then I love the firefight finish. You set yourself up to put yourself in position to win.
That's right. It's not all about power. You know, there's some strategy involved in ball placement, and court management is very important. Well, Sam, you've been a great sport up to now, but we have a segment on the Base to Pickle Show called the Speed Up. Just like you speed it up on the court, we're going to ask you 5 questions that have nothing to do with pickleball in a way to get our viewers to know you a little bit better. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. Is Sam Flaxman a Starbucks guy, Dunkin' Donuts, or Nespresso?
So I live in Massachusetts, the birthplace of Dunkin' Donuts. I absolutely do not like their coffee. I am not a Starbucks fan. I'll take the Nespresso option, please.
Oh, goodness. All right. What would you say is your all-time favorite movie?
My all-time favorite movie. Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm going to have to go with The Departed. Also based here in Boston. I love Jack Nicholson in that, and I love Matt Damon and Mark Wahlberg in it.
They were young in that movie. It's good to see that one.
2006. I was still young. I didn't really watch it until I was at least in my teens. So,
all right. So, what is your favorite social media outlet? Is it Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter?
Yeah, it's definitely Instagram. It's where I do all my business. It's where I communicate mostly, and it's a way to open up, I think, new avenues for new business opportunities. And I think my generation has slowly moved over into TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but Instagram is my preferred channel.
All right. And what would you say your favorite car is of all time? Like a dream car? Do you have a classic car that you like?
It's funny, I'm not a big car guy, but if I am looking right now for a Tesla Model 3.
Can't go wrong with the Tesla. All right. Last question. What is your favorite Florida vacation destination?
I actually have roots in Palm Beach. My dad's side of the family is down there, and I actually used to teach tennis at the Breakers. So that's kind of how I got back into the racket and paddle sports world. So I'm a huge Palm Beach, snowbird. Love that place. The Breakers is my go-to resort and destination. I work there, and I love going there.
All right, folks, there you go. If you didn't know him, you know him now. It's Sam Flaxman of Top Notch Management, well-known, highly respected voice in the pickleball world. And Sam, I appreciate your time from your busy schedule. And on behalf of my co-host, Raul De Castro, I want to thank you for being on the Base to Pickle Show.
Thanks, Uncle Muggs. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll be right back with more interviews.
Hey, are you Raul from the Base to Pickle Show?
Yes.
We love your show. Do you like the Base to Pickle Show?
I love the Base to Pickle Show.
Oh my gosh.
I've got some t-shirts for you guys.
Wow! This is my favorite color. It actually matches my suit.
This is so cool.
This is awesome. This is awesome.
gosh.
Listen, if you want the best pickleball news in the world, you got to check out the Base to Pickle Show. Right, Rachel?
Yep.
Let's go.
Woo!
Welcome to the Base to Pickle Show. I'm Uncle Muggs coming to you from the Miami studios today, and our guest is the director of Duper Collegiate Pickleball. It's Jacob Smith. Jacob, welcome to the Base to Pickle Show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Listen, I want to talk about the event that you're going to have here September 21st. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about you and how you got into pickleball, and then we'll talk about the tournament and everything else going on here in Florida.
Absolutely. So my journey started when I was a student at NC State. There was actually a pickleball class you could take at NC State. And so coming from a tennis background, I took pickleball and I stuck with it because you didn't have to move as much as in tennis. And I like that, being able to use my wingspan, just kind of lean side to side, cover the whole court. And so I stuck with it, helped to get the club, to a higher status at NC State. And we started hosting our tournaments. And so, when in 2022, Duper burst onto the collegiate pickleball scene and wanted to host the first national championship, they called me in to help run it. And so since that first tournament, I've been with Duper, helping them put on all the collegiate tournaments we've had over the years, and continue to play pickleball. I think I'm not as good as I used to be when I had a lot more time to practice and play at NC State, but I still try to keep up with it.
That's great. That's a great partnership with Duper, and I know they do a lot for the youth and the growth of this game. We had Tito Machado, the CEO, on here the other day.
Absolutely. Tito is, right in the thick of it. All things Duper, goes right through Tito. And, we're really doing a lot as a company to be the rating, for every platform, every tournament, and, with trying to get, everyone onto Duper. So, you're having fair games wherever you go. You don't have to think about, sandbagging or being the bad guy. You can say, trying to have, 4-0 Duper games here, and, makes it a little bit easier on you.
All right, so tell us a little bit about this collegiate pickleball, so our viewers can understand, how it's played, what its format is. Share with us a little bit, yeah.
Absolutely. So, like I mentioned, started back in 2022, and it's really closely modeled after the MLP format, if you're familiar with that at all, where teams are bringing 2 guys and 2 girls to compete in women's doubles, men's doubles, then 2 mixed doubles, and if those tie 2 and 2, then it goes to a dream breaker. In 2022, we just had the national championship. And in 2023, we expanded that out by having 12 regionals that feed into the national championship by earning bids at these regionals. And then we've expanded that even more this year in 2024 by having the national championship at the end of the year again, but by having 9 super regionals that give 4 bids each into nationals, and then also campus regionals, so that if there's schools or facilities that want to run their own collegiate pickleball event, they can do so using our format, and that still is a direct pipeline into nationals. And so that's the format we have, and it's going to expand even more in 2025.
All right, I think that is the future of pickleball, and I think that's the right demographic to help grow the sport in that age range. So tell us what went on in Cincinnati in June. I understand you raised some money there for scholarships. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So that's our most recent tournament, was our Collegiate Individual National Championship. The one we had this June was the second time we did it. We also did it in April last year. And the goal of that tournament is to crown a college champion for each of the 5 pickleball events, gender doubles, mixed doubles, and then men's and women's singles. And so part of that prize pool for the players was $20,000. Basically, if you came in first place in any event, you got $1,000. And so that means a lot to a college student, when every dollar counts. And so a lot that we do is to, get money into the hands of the college players, to reward them and to make playing pickleball really, a viable way to, make some money if you're good at it.
All right, so on September 21st and 22nd, you're bringing this Collegiate National Championship down to St. Lucie West at a place called the Pickleball Club that I understand is a magnificent location, and I'm sure there'll be a great host for you guys. So tell us about this tournament. There's 4 bids for the Collegiate National Championships that you just mentioned. And will this be live streamed?
Yes. So the finals and the semifinals on Sunday will be live streamed, and we're really excited for that. To be able to showcase the best that collegiate pickleball, specifically the southeastern region, has to offer. And so this Florida Super Regional, like you mentioned, we're going to have coming up in September. It's our 5th one out of 9 Super Regionals we're doing this year. And like the other 8 Super Regionals, it's going to give out 4 bids to nationals, which means the top 4 teams. You could think that the 4 teams that make the semifinals will, punch their ticket to go to nationals this year. And nationals as a whole has taken 64 players, and so the 64 teams, excuse me. And it's quite a big jump. Last year we were at 36, this year we're at 64, and those bids, help funnel those teams in, and it's going to be a great experience.
I'm sure it will. I personally am a huge fan of the team format and the MLP format, especially with that dream breaker, tiebreaker at the end, and just the fact that the teams stick around and they, they encourage and cheer on their fellow competitors and their teammates.
Yeah, I mean that's really the best part of collegiate pickleball is the energy, the team support that you have, from like you said, your fellow teammates, watching you play your event, they're waiting for their turn to come and play. And especially, in those instances, you get to cap it off with a dream breaker. The amount of tension that builds there, you're hanging on every single point. That's what we really like about it too.
All right, now here come one of the tougher questions, Jacob. Again, we're with Jacob Smith. He is the director of the Duper Collegiate Pickleball. Now, Jacob, will it ever be a mainstream sport recognized by the NCAA like baseball and football?
Yeah, it's definitely going to become a mainstream sport. Whether it's official sport under NCAA really remains to be seen. I can't give you a sure answer on that. I do know, at some point it's going to be the most played sport on every college campus because it really is the best participation sport that we have here, especially in America. It's taken off like a rocket ship, and so I know it's going to be extremely popular. I know it's going to be a great way for you to make friends as you come to a college campus. As far as NCAA goes, I don't know too much. A lot of the college budgets are going to be tightening up coming here as a result of the House versus NCAA lawsuit. And with that, I can't imagine there's going to be a lot of athletic departments that really want to adopt a new sport and have to spend a little more when everything else is going to be tightened up. But I don't have a magic ball. I can't say for sure. I just know it's going to be huge.
All right, we're looking forward to that. I'll tell you what, we want to make it out there on September 21st. I want to check out the Pickleball Club at St. Lucie West. And if you don't mind, we'll have the Base to Pickle cameras there, and we'll do what we can to spread the good word of collegiate pickleball.
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing you there.
Awesome. Okay, I know you're doing your part to expand this game. So we have a little game that we play here at the Base to Pickle Show, and it's called the Speed Up Round, Jacob. And it's
Okay.
where we ask you 5 questions that have absolutely nothing to do with pickleball in a way
Okay.
to get to know Jacob Smith a little better. Are you ready?
I am. Let's hear them.
All right. Is Jacob Smith a Starbucks guy, Dunkin' Donuts, or Nespresso?
I'm going Starbucks. There was one at NC State. You could use your little meal pass to go there, and so I made good use of that.
All right. The Wolfpack Starbucks.
That's
All
right.
What would you say that your favorite movie is of all time?
Interstellar, Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little Space Odyssey. Yeah.
All right. And is Jacob Smith a cat guy or a dog guy?
A dog. No, that's easy. You grew up around them. Yeah, just much more friendly.
You know, I've been taking an unofficial tally, and I'm calculating about 97% of pickleballers are dog people.
That's right. Well, you need a dog to fetch the pickleball and to name the sport after, so it makes sense.
Yeah, cats aren't really that good at that kind of stuff. All right, what is your favorite dream car or classic car? What's your favorite automobile?
It's a Corvette Stingray. You know,
Nice.
that's the one that catches my eye when I'm cruising down the highway.
Good old American muscle there. Okay, I don't know if you've been to Florida, you've heard of our vacation spots. What would be your favorite Florida vacation destination?
I'm going Siesta Key Beach. Been there. Nice, nice white beach. You know, doesn't stick to you too much. Doesn't get too hot. That's where I'm headed.
Awesome. All right, Jacob, thank you very much. You've been a great sport. I appreciate you taking time from your busy schedule to share with us this information because it is really the future of pickleball. And I appreciate everything you're doing to expand the game.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me on.
All right. On behalf of my co-host, Raul De Castro, I want to thank you for being on the Base to Pickle Show. And remember to watch us every Thursday for a new episode with interviews like this, tournament results, our calendar of events, and a whole lot more right here on the Base to Pickle Show.
I'm Katie,
Hi, I'm Jenny,
and we're in Dothan, Alabama.
and you're watching the Base to Pickle Show.
Let's go! Welcome back to the Base to Pickle Show, everyone. We sure hope you had a good time listening to those 3 interviews that were very interesting and unique in their very own way.
They definitely were. I mean, Sam Flaxman gave us some insights as to some of the pros that he works with and, of course, Inside Pickleball.
There were some big names there that he represents. We also spoke to Jacob Smith, and he told us all about the collegiate program and what he's doing with Duper to help grow the game at the college level.
And I love what Ashley had to share with us from Court Reserve.
And they have a great place up there at San Augustine called Old Coast Pickleball. So if you like these interviews, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and tune in every Thursday for a new episode of the Base to Pickle Show. Thanks for watching, and so long, everyone.